Hi guys, and welcome back to Vlogmas day number 16. Today's donation suggestion is a bit more, not generic, but it depends on where you live. So the recommendation is just for food banks, because especially in the winter, it's nice to get a warm meal if you can't always get that, and then also because of COVID and unemployment in some countries, there's like food insecurity or not enough food to go by. I know that particularly in Germany, for some people their retirement plans aren't enough, and so they have to stock up in food banks. So I will leave down links below to the German equivalent of a food bank, or one of the biggest, Die Tafel, and I will also look at some major ones for the US and the UK, because I think that's where most of the people viewing this channel are from. But if you're not from those countries, maybe look up what's close to where you live. But today's video. So I recently saw Freddie from Sluggish Reader, and then afterwards Shannon from That's So Po do videos about buddy reading for 2021, and they asked people to buddy read with them, and I thought that was a really nice idea to find new people to buddy read with. I also love buddy reading with the people I'm already buddy reading with. Yeah, I thought I picked some suggestions off my shelf. I picked out 20 books, not all of which I can buddy read next year. Let me know in the comments below if one of those books piques your interest, and we can set up a buddy read. I should say though that from January to March I'm already set up with buddy reads, so this is more about April until December, and I don't plan to do more than one buddy read per month, so that leaves 8 potential month for buddy reads, and I will just show you the books. So most of these books I haven't read before, so I'm just gonna read you the blurb on the back of the book, or let you know a little bit about it. So first up I have Maya's Notebook by Isabel Allende. Now I've never read anything by Isabel Allende, and I actually need to change that. This one I got from a friend as a gift, and I should really get to it. And it says, Maya is an alcoholic, an addict, and seriously mixed up with a criminal gang. Rejected by her parents, blindsided by grief, Maya really lost control. Now hunted by the police and her old associates, Maya flees California for the island of Chiloé, her grandmother's birthplace off the coast of Chile. There, safe for a while, Maya can begin to heal, but can she ever learn to live with the scars of the past? The next one is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I don't think I need to say too much about this one. This is the first volume of her autobiography, and it is about her childhood in the American South in the 1930s. Next up is Giovannis Womb by James Baldwin. This one is a gay love story, and apparently Baldwin caused quite the scandal because he wrote about two white homosexual men, and at the time that caused quite the stir, apparently, according to what the book says. Next up is The Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Emecheta, and this is set in Nigeria, and it's about a woman who is disregarded by her family and turned away by her first husband because she doesn't have any children, or she can't produce children, but then she has a second marriage and she actually starts having children, and is then revered by her family, but then the values of her tribe and her country and the people start shifting, and she finds herself with 8 children in a very different situation. The next one is The Bone People by Keri Hulme. I don't know too much about this because it doesn't say anything on the back of the book actually. But I do know it's about Maori culture in New Zealand, and that it won the Booker Prize in 1985. Next up I have When We Were Orphans by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I have read 2 of his books so far, and The Remains of the Day is one of my favorite books So I would really like to read more by him. And this one says, England 1930s, Christopher Banks has become the country's most celebrated detective. His case is the talk of London society. Yet one unsolved crime has always haunted him, the mysterious disappearance of his parents in old Shanghai when he was a small boy. Next I have Trumpet by Jackie Kay, and this is about a trumpeter, Josh Moody, and after his death people find out that he was transgender, and his son, who didn't know, is particularly upset, and it's just about events, I guess, evolving from there and possibly from Josh Moody's life, assumably, as well. The next one I have is a reread for me, but it's been so long that I don't really remember the story, but I remember absolutely loving it, and that is The History of Love by Nicole Krauss. Now I do know that Krauss has worked through some of her own family history in this. This is her debut novel, or this was her debut novel. She has many others out since then. And we have 14-year-old Alma Singer trying to find a cure for her mother's loneliness, and it intertwines with another story, and that is one of Leo Gursky, an old man who is trying to survive a little bit longer. He spends his days dreaming of the lost love that 60 years ago in Poland inspired him to write a book. And I think Alma Singer's mom is translating that book. And at some point the stories, I think, intertwine. I then have The Buddha of Suburbia by Hanif Kureishi. And this is Hanif Kureishi's debut novel. It's about a dreamy teenager of indeterminate sexual preference who's desperate to escape the drear clutches of suburban South London. I then have, this is the German edition, but it's available in English, The Periodic Table by Primo Levi. And this is an autobiography that is set up in chapters that use the periodic table, and it deals with Primo Levi surviving the Holocaust, but also with sort of other parts from his life. I also have The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Yukio Mishima. A band of savage 13-year-old boys reject the adult world as illusory, hypocritical and sentimental. When the mother of one of them begins an affair with the ship's officer, he and his friends idealize the man at first, but it's not long before they conclude that he is in fact soft and romantic. They regard this disillusionment as an act of betrayal on his part. Their retribution is deliberate and horrifying. I also have The Housekeeper and The Professor by Yoko Ogawa. I don't know how much I need to say about this because this has been making quite the rounds on BookTube, but it's about a math professor who has only a short-term memory, and the relationship that he develops with the housekeeper and I think her son, teaching them math, and they come in every morning and have to get reacquainted with him. The next one I also have the German edition, but again it is available in English, and that is A Brief Life by Juan Carlos Onetti. And this is about, well, it's basically, I guess, about a middle-aged man who's sort of going into crisis, and he writes himself a doppelganger, and then he starts to living that doppelganger's life. Juan Carlos Onetti is from Uruguay, and I've never read a single book from that country, so I'm hoping I can change that by reading this one. Then I have Welcome to Lagos by Chibundo Onuzo, and this is about 5 different people who all come to Lagos and hope for a better life. I also have, again, German translation, but available in English, The New Life by Orhan Pamuk. And this is about a young man who finds a book and becomes obsessed with it. And he also falls in love with a young woman who then disappears, and he goes in search of her. I don't know too much more about this. Another book that I would like to reread is Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. I've read this a couple of years ago, I remember really enjoying it, and then this year Daniel and I finally watched the movie adaptation, which we also really liked. And it's about a protagonist that is also called Jonathan Safran Foer, and who is in search of his family's history. I also have White Teeth by Zadie Smith, and this is her debut novel. I've never read anything by Zadie Smith, but I would like to change that. And this one deals with friendship, love, war, 3 cultures, 3 families over 3 generations, 1 brown mouse, and the tricky way the past has of coming back and biting you on the ankle. It's life-affirming, riotous must-read of a book. I then have The Pianist by Władysław Szpilman. Again, I have the German translation, but this should be available in English. This has been turned into a major motion picture, and it is about Spielmann surviving the Holocaust. I also have The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. Now, I read The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead this year, and it's probably my favorite book of the year. And so I want to read more by him. And this one is set during slavery, and there was a thing called the Underground Railroad, but in this he turns it into an actual railroad. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that's gonna go. And I think, I mean, it's been all over BookTube and pretty much everywhere else. Whitehead won the Pulitzer for this as well. So if there's anybody out there yet who hasn't read it yet and wants to, let me know. And then finally I have Night by Elie Wiesel. And again, this is a Holocaust survivor story. Elie Wiesel survived the Holocaust, but his parents and his 8-year-old sister did not. If any of those books are on your TBR as well and you want to buddy read them, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see what I can set up. If there's surprisingly more than 8 people interested in buddy reading with me, 2022? Sorry guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!